And to calculate the baseline performance, no, it comes as a step number 6 in your DMAC methodology. So this particular session, we will understand process capability indices, nothing but your CP and CPK, as well as process performance indices, nothing but PP, PPK. So what is CP? What is CPK? What is the difference between CP and CPK? And then what is PP and what is PPK? And how PP, PPK is different from CP, CPK, and which is better, right? And we will also see one case study with the data we will calculate, and that will help you better understand. Now, first, let us understand CP and CPK. So, CP, CPK are called process capability indices. Process capability indices. The first one, CP, is called process capability ratio, and CPK is called process capability index. First one is called process capability ratio. The second one, CPK, is called process capability index. How to calculate this CP first? It is nothing but a ratio between your specification width and the process width. We already thoroughly learned specification width. What is specification width? USL minus LSL. What is process width? UCL minus LCL. What is UCL minus LCL? 6 times sigma, right? So USL minus LSL divided by 6 times sigma will give you your CP. And most of the time when you wanted to calculate CP in your company, you might use this formula, R bar by D2. So what is this R bar by D2? It is nothing but your within batch variation. It is nothing but your within batch variation. So that is why it is given a symbol sigma within, right? And then how to calculate process capability index. Here also you will use the same sigma only. Here also you will use the same sigma only. And now the formula is minimum of CP upper and CP lower. So CPK is divided into two further metrics, CP upper and CP lower. What is CP upper? USL minus X bar by 3 sigma, CP lower X bar minus LSL by 3 sigma. You know USL, LSL are the specification limits. X bar is the process center and sigma is sigma within. Now imagine you have a process and now customer targeted value is 40. It could be anything, maybe time, maybe dimension, or maybe hardness, or maybe any metric which you are interested in. So imagine this is the requirement is 40 and customer tolerance is plus or minus 10. So USL is 50, LSL is 30. And now your process data reveals this kind of distribution. Now you understand your X bar is also 40 and your sigma is 20. Sorry, sigma is not 20, sigma is 2. So as a result, you understood your upper control limit is 46, lower control limit is 34. And now what is the sigma? This is sigma within. So we are also going to understand what is the difference, how to calculate sigma within and how to calculate sigma between. We will discuss thoroughly. And now having said that, and now what is CP? Specification width by process width. What is specification width? USL minus LSL, which is 20. And what is process width? UCL minus LCL, that is 12. What is 20 by 12? 1.67. And now tell me, is this process good? Is it capable?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
It is capable, right? And because you are seeing the control limit well inside the specification limit. But if you see the CP value, if you also see the graph, or if you also see the control limit inside the specification limit, then only I want you to make a conclusion that the process is capable. If you are not able to visualize the process, you only have the CP value. I don't want you to comment on the capability. If you only have the CP value, you can only comment on the consistency of your process. Consistency means continuously producing same result. Capability means continuously producing good result. So what is the CP speaks? CP actually speaks capability or consistency? Can you tell me? It speaks consistency only. Since I am also showing you the graph, you are able to conclude it is not only consistent, it is also capable. So let me give you another picture. And now I am showing another slide. Now look at the graph. Now, or look at the slide. Now, what is your specification with 20? What is your process with 12? Now, what is the CP?
Same.
1.67.
1.67. Yes.
And now is this process capable?
No.
Why not capable? Because your control limit is moved beyond specification limit.
Yes,
That
yes.
means there are rejections happening here, more rejections happening here. So this process is not capable. However, still it is consistent.
Consistent, yes.
So what is the use of CP then? What is the use
Give
of
us it give us the consistency in the process. Only we have to now move the process toward the center.
Yeah.
Only variation can be measured, but center tendency cannot be measured.
It tells us that the variations are low. It tells us that the variations are okay. Variations are good. That means variations are low. But CP more than 1 or CP more than 1.67 is, cannot always make your process capable, right? And so that is the limitation of CP. CP more than 1.67, at the same time control limits inside the specification limit, then probably it speaks about capability. So, and the industry rule is CP should be more than 1.67. And who gives the rule? Again, AIAG, Automotive Industry Action Group. So according to them, for critical processes, your CP as well as CPK should be more than 1.67. For non-critical processes, it is 1.33, because always having an additional cushion is better, right? So that means your risk is low. Even if something goes wrong in your process, still your process will make sure your process produce output within the customer specification limit. Now we understood the meaning of CP as well as the limitation of CP. Now, how to overcome the limitation? I want to make conclusion correctly. So now better use CPK. What is CPK? CPK is broken down version of CP. While understanding the CP, what was the specification width? It was 20, right? And that 20 is now divided into 2. Can you see here? Left side is green and right side is blue. So what is the value of length of green bar? 10. Similarly, the length of blue bar is 10. So 20 is divided into 10, 10. Same way, the process width is also divided into 2. The original, earlier the process width was 6 sigma. Now I divide into 2. So what happened? 3 sigma on the right and 3 sigma on the left. Now the green bar divided by 3 sigma is your CP lower. You see here. How to measure the length of the green bar? What is there here? Center, X bar. What is here? LSL. X bar minus LSL.
Width divided by 3 sigma.
Exactly. X bar minus LSL by 3 sigma. Similarly here, USL minus X bar by 3 sigma. And so you don't have to really memorize anything, because CPK is actually CP upper lower, or the the divisions of your CP only. So now you calculate. Now CP upper also 1.67, CP lower also 1.67. Why are you getting same value? Because your process is perfectly centered.
Centered, yes.
It is only at such situation you will get same value. And now suppose, imagine your process is shifting to the right. Now what will happen to your blue band? When your process is shifting to the right, your blue band will increase or decrease? Will decrease. So that will decrease your lower. Blue band decreasing means the distance of your specification limit from the center is decreasing. That means your control limit will tend to go beyond specification limit, isn't it? So whichever side, whichever band is decreasing, that side specification is going to be under deep trouble. So that is why we put minimum here, minimum of CP upper and CP lower. When my process move to the right, my CP upper will reduce. When my process tend to move towards the left, my CP lower will reduce. So I want to understand the capability at the weaker side. So minimum is used here, and that's the meaning of putting minimum here. Now, let us calculate the CPK. In the earlier case, CP was 1.67. CPK is also 1.67. Whenever you find the CP and CPK same, that is the ideal scenario. That is very, very healthy scenario. You can understand, you can tell your process is centered on target. But let me give you maybe a bad scenario. Now your process is shifted to the right. And you see here, so your blue bar is reduced. Instead of 10, it becomes 5. As a result, left side green bar will become 15 instead of 10. Now apply your formula. USL minus X bar by 3 sigma is upper and X bar minus LSL by 3 sigma is lower. Now CP upper is 0.833, CP lower is 2.5. Now which one you will take? CP
Upper.
upper only, because the right side your process is under trouble. So that tells you 0.833. And now CP was 1.67, but CPK is 0.33. Now what? Now 0.833. Now what is your conclusion? Is your process capable?
No, sir.
Uh,
Less than
accurate but
1.6.
not precise,
No.
not capable. Consistent but not capable.
Consistent but not capable. Then what is the use of CP?
Only check the consistency.
Only to check the consistency. And also it can give you the potential your process has got. As of now, with the current design, the potential capability of your process is 1.67. That means you can make your improve your CPK from 0.833 to 1.67 only by centering your process correctly. Am I right? You
Yes,
don't have to reduce the variation. Only you center it. The person who want to shoot the target, he doesn't know how to hold the gun. Otherwise, he can shoot properly. If you simply help him hold the gun correctly, he is going to hit the target consistently. So simple improvement can make your process, can make your CPK equal to 1.67. So that is why we call CP as potential process capability ratio, right? Do you now understand the meaning of potential?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so when your CP is higher than CPK, there is a good potential, your process has got for improving its capability. That is the meaning. So process is shifted. This I think we have discussed already. All right. So now, what is the decision rule?